So, Kurt, this year we got to go to AX.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, this
Miraculously.
Miraculously. And this was my first AX going back since, the
There's something
world.
that happened?
Something that
2020?
happened.
I don't. What happened then?
Yeah, and for you, it's been even longer.
Yeah, 2013.
2013, yeah. And we've been going since 2010, 2011.
I think 2010 was my first year.
Yeah, and I've gone every year since then, up to
Except the COVID year.
Except for 2020 to 2023.
Yeah.
And this year, I was pleasantly surprised at how AX was organized. One of my biggest gripes with AX every year is especially when it comes to the front door, the security thing. That has been abysmal since 2019 when they changed owners.
Yeah.
And back in 2019.
Yeah.
The security that the current owners did was super thorough. It was like you had to go through the metal detector, go through your bag. They did it for everybody, and it would take like an hour just to get inside.
Dope.
I remember that year there was an earthquake that happened, and there was like on the breaking news on TV, there was a helicopter shot of the convention center, and they said like, "Oh, this is an evacuation zone," but it was just the line going into A.
That's so funny.
Yeah, so that shows you how bad it is if it could be confused for an evacuation zone.
Yeah.
So this year, they did it like kind of like a sports venue where you just go in and they'll only stop you if they notice an abnormality. So it was nice. And then the walkways were a little bit more organized, so that it's not just a mad dash of people. And they also opened more rooms for the exhibition hall and stuff. So like the exhibition hall isn't just like completely packed. Like there was actual room like to walk through some of those alleys, because there's one year I remember it was just like people are looking at one stand and then the other stand is the exact opposite, and your back is pretty much touching the person there, and like you can't even get past it. Yeah. What about for you?
It was super different because it was when we were going to AX, or at least when I was going to AX last, it was I think anime was pretty still a niche hobby.
Yeah.
And so it was not as big as it was, which had its positives and negatives, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of, we'll get into it, but there's like a lot of the big players end up showing up.
Yeah.
But on the flip side, the lines are a lot longer. Because, for example, we got to see essentially, probably Trigger's first ever AX panel, where they're screening the Young Animators project, Little Witch Academia. And at the time, I guess it was emblematic of both AX and Trigger being kind of unknown or like more under the radar.
Yeah.
Because they were begging people to go in and watch
they literally pulled us in. They were like, come in.
Yeah, just come. Yeah. And it's like I had seen the whole crop of that year's Young Animators project stuff, and I enjoyed Little Witch Academia, but I was not like raring to go see Little Witch Academia, which I mean I think was a great experience, and it's one that I treasure now.
Same.
It's like good luck having something like that happen now. I'd say.
I mean, AX has definitely gotten way more popular within the last decade.
I mean, just anime in general.
Yeah,
right?
that too. But AX back in the day, it would be like maybe like 60,000 people. Like now, it's well over 100,000.
Yeah.
It's to the point where like the fire marshal is like, this is the max.
I mean, there's a lot of things that I saw that were like, oh, we would just all be dead if there's a fire.
Yeah, and like AX is now like at the point where they can sell out of tickets. That was like unheard of back in the day. And yeah, it is nice that like anime is being more popular and stuff.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, and you can get like these bigger pools, but it makes it so competitive now to get like a panel or meet people. Signatures. Yes, that's a big
talk
thing.
About your experience.
Okay.
You're the one that's make it or break.
Make it or break it. Every year I go to AX, I always try to get at least one autograph, and that's always been one of the big draws for me, is like me getting to meet these creators that you like, either voice actors or series creators, artists, stuff like that. And so like for the last couple of years, I've noticed that it's been a lot harder to meet Japanese talent. It's been they've been now like relegating them to like you have to go to a booth to do. They're more like commercial tie-ins.
Yeah.
So if you wanted to meet this person, you have to go to the Aniplex booth or the Crunchyroll booth and get a thing there rather than line up for the industry autographs that AX usually has. And so for the last couple of years, it's been like really difficult because you have to go to the exhibit hall and they only limit 100 tickets or something. And then obviously the VIP people get the priority. Us peasants
or vendors
or vendors, us peasants. But by the time we're allowed in, it's only going to be the first like 20 people, and those people are the people that camped out at midnight the previous day. And so this year I wanted to meet Sayaka Ohara, one of my favorite voice actresses of all time. I absolutely adore her, and that was a highlight because I was like, I never thought she would ever do an AX, and seeing that like, oh, they're doing one of those tie-in promotion things where you have to go to the Manga Gamer, which is very strange. I thought why she was associated with that because they're an eroge company. But after we
went to the panel,
when we went to the panel for Umineko, then it's like, oh, okay, that's why she's partnered with them. But so on AX's website, all it said is that it was like first come first served thing. And it never said that they were gonna start selling it on the first day, because when you see that, you think they're talking first come first serve of the day of the autograph. So I showed up. I was like, oh, we could skip the first day. We'll just go the second day, and I'll go there at 3 a.m. to ensure that I'm in line for the ticket. And then we wait like 6 hours, and then we finally go in. I rush my ass there. And
he ran. I saw.
Yeah, I ran
as he ran
with my shattered knees and my arthritic back. I ran, and then I'm like, can I get the ticket? And they're like, sorry, we sold out on the first day. It was a first come first serve. Like, I was supposed to know that implies that it's only on one day. AX. It seems like every time I get screwed out of an autograph, it's because AX tells me to go to the wrong place or at the wrong time. Like Eddie Kitamura.
I feel like if this keeps happening, this might be a problem with something else.
You know what? No. This is not a skill issue. This is a game issue. Don't hate the player. Hate the game, son. And this game is rigged from the start. It was always rigged from the start.
Truth is, the game was rigged from the start.
For me, though, some of the highlights were the panels. I actually noticed that there were not as many panels that I was too interested in this year compared to previous years.
Really? I thought this year was like crazy.
This year was good. Don't get me wrong, but like day 1 there was only like 1 or 2 panels.
Yeah, day 1 I was not.
Yeah, and then day 4 there was like nothing.
Everything it was concentrated on Friday, Saturday, essentially. Which makes sense, I think.
Yeah. So even though I got royally screwed on the Sayaka Ohara autograph, I was at least able to go to her Umineko panel and see her speak, and it was really nice. And so we got to learn a little bit about her process and how she voices the character Beatrice in that series, which is very different from her typical
other
roles. And so that was really interesting, and like being able to hear her speak. I've never heard her speak English. So
her English pretty good.
Yeah, her English is pretty good. Yeah, and so that was one of the biggest highlights for me. But yeah, for me, one of the biggest highlights was the FGO panel. I was genuinely shocked I was able to even make it in. I was in like the back of the standby line, and I was able to like get shuffled in. And that was really fun. I pretty much knew what was going to be presented at the panel because we have Clairvoyancy X. For me, the highlight was seeing Ayako Kawasumi and Rumi Okubo speak. I'm a huge fan of them. Really wish Rumi Okubo would do a autograph sesh, but I think she's a little too big.
What characters does she?
She voices Elizabeth Bathory and Astolfo.
That's like one of the big ones.
She voices like 2 of the biggest ones. Yeah. So I love her, and I have Ayako Kawasumi's autograph. I was lucky enough to get her twice, but I haven't been able to get Rumi Okubo. So for you though, what were some of the highlights?
I mean, I just went to panels. I don't buy things. I'm an anti.
You're anti-capitalist.
For the 90 people that watched our Destroyers think they would know. But I mean, no, I buy merch every so often. But for me, I think I have not that much space, so I would like to focus on specific things.
Yeah, you were tempted by the Yuasa.
The Yuasa box set from Shout Factory definitely tempted me, but most of my BRs are Japanese regions, so I was like, well, I have a lot of these films in the Japanese BRs from, so I was like, but for me it was like the art, the cover art, that was so wonderful, even though you couldn't see the Ino.
I'll put it on screen, but tell me, can you spot a human being in this silhouette? You cannot. There is no human being in this silhouette.
It's so easy. That was the only thing that slightly tempted me, but generally I just don't have space to collect stuff. You know?
Yeah.
So I'm not as interested in like purchasing aspects of it.
But for the panels,
for me,
being able to meet.
For me, the panels is most interesting. That's why I bought a pass. But yeah, so it's I'm gonna try and go chronologically. So you picked my ass up early as fuck in the morning to do your autograph thing. You failed miserably.
Yeah.
So we went to see Ohara Sayaka talk, which I thought was really interesting. Again, for me, I personally am not connected to the Umineko and what is it? Higurashi kind of universe, but they also had the creator there to speak.
Yeah, that was.
And I thought he was really fun.
Yeah.
Then we went to the thing that I probably was looking forward to the most on the first day, which was the Freiren and Kusuriya panel.
Yeah.
Which, hilariously, you brought up that there was, like, someone there.
Yeah.
Celebrity.
If you were there at the Kusuriya Freiren, brace yourself, you were in the same room as Channing Tatum.
Yeah.
He was there with his daughter, apparently. So.
Yeah. But I thought for me, I was extremely interested in hearing Saito Keiichiro speak.
Yeah, same.
I mean, you guys know I've talked about my love of director Saito Kantoku's kind of direction style.
Yeah.
And it was kind of interesting because he was pretty shy, I would say.
Yeah.
Almost. He was very reserved.
I mean, he said, he's very introverted.
Yeah. But the panel was great. They had the voice actor of Himmel, the Japanese voice actor.
Yeah.
They had the director. They had monster designer / storyboard artist. And they had a producer who was wearing a Mizuhu shirt with the cats. So obviously I was a big fan.
Yeah.
He was a producer from Madhouse. And they all kind of talked. I think an interesting part was hearing about, they each picked a favorite scene that they wanted to show.
Yeah.
And they spoke about it a little bit. And the people sitting next to us were like, oh, it's going to be the dragon fight, bro. Nah, it's definitely going to be when Freiren, they fought the Mimic, bro. That shit was sick. And I was like, in my mind, I was like, maybe the Himmel voice actor would like pick a more like fight scene heavy thing, but I was like 90% sure most of them were just gonna pick a very like character driven.
Oh, my fear was they're gonna pick all the fan service scenes, like the feet
potion.
The
feet.
The potion
with the feet, right?
Yeah.
That everyone talks about. No, I was like about 90% sure that they're gonna choose very character driven scenes, which hilariously I think everyone did.
Yeah, I mean the voice actor of Himmel, his choice was really good. As soon as everyone knew what it was like, oh,
it was the match dissolve.
Yeah,
you know which what we're talking about if you watch the video, right? There's a match dissolve in there between Freiren's face and Himmel to emphasize the connection there. But the voice actor of Himmel picked that scene, which was pretty good. Also, I figured that he would pick a scene that he was heavily involved in. I thought the Madhouse director also picked one of my favorite scenes where Freiren discovers the Sogetsuso, the blue moonweed.
Yeah.
あるとは思っていたけど、まさかこれほどとはね。遅くなったね、ヒンメル。
And then the character designer picked Fern stalking Freiren before their birthday celebration, which is another scene that there's some match dissolves in there that I use in the video. If you know, you know. Which I thought is a great scene. I think that's interesting, and he talked about how it felt that scene was like a perfect delineation between Fern the child and Fern like the adult, which I thought was interesting. But I was really impressed with Saito Keiichiro's decision to pick the essentially very first scene of the series.
それもそっか。
フリーレン、君のこの先の人生は僕たちには想像もできないほど長いものになるんだろうね。
そうかもね。
Where Freiren is in the cart and they're talking about, oh, what are you gonna do now? I gotta get a job.
Yeah, he makes a good point that is like both the epilogue and prologue of the series.
Yes.
And so it's a really interesting way of putting it. Yeah.
This director, I think he does those sort of scenes where it's very a balance of like kind of bittersweet. You know, it's very bittersweet, kind of the tone of the series, and so I really enjoyed that. So they did the Freiren stuff, and hilariously, I thought it was going to be a much more technical side to hear them talk, but they talked a lot more about. I think they were a lot less technical in what they talked, and more of like talked with the crowd in mind.
Yeah,
maybe I would say. And then the Kusuriya guys came on. And you haven't watched, but I have. I'm a big fan.
And half of the audience left.
Half the audience left, which was disappointing considering how many Mau Maus got turned away.
I know.
She's our favorite gremlin. They should have just let those Mau Maus in, man. But yeah, so they went to the Kusuriya, and hilariously, that turned out to be the more technical talking.
I mean, it got me really, really interested in watching
the series.
it.
Yeah. The director, I think, was a pretty goofy guy. I liked hearing him talk, but I thought the most interesting person was the color designer.
Yes, that was the highlight.
Her insight into the series was so... Even the character designer, actually, her insight was great. I loved how she talked about how she designed characters, like, especially the Mau Mau faces. I think if you watch Kusuriya or Apothecary Diaries, you kind of know that the Mau Mau faces are a big part of it. But I loved how they talked about color and the series and how there are color associated with emotions. Like how I always love in the creation of these sort of film or television series, like how do you visually show things? And they talked a lot about how they tried to match colors with emotions that they're trying to tell, you know?
Yeah.
Which I thought was spectacular. And it made me love the show even more than I already did, which I love the show already. But yeah, I thought the talk about the colors and about how, especially associating vivid colors, especially primary colors, they said they wanted to build their world with primary colors, and like associating like the irises of eyes during emotional scenes, I thought was beautiful, right? And that's why anime as a medium, I think, is so attractive to us, right? And that you can visually show these interesting things.
Yeah.
Yep. And then next, what do we do after Delicious in Dungeon?
Yeah.
Which, do you want to talk about the beginning of that panel, or do you?
Yeah, we had a very special guest come in. Somebody that I noticed in the line. I'm like,
flying the anarchist
flag. Yeah, and they gave a beautiful performance. Absolutely wonderful.
Yeah, well, we talked about it where at first I was like, is this a trigger stunt? Because
no, I immediately knew it was not a trigger stunt because of how pathetic it was.
Damn! Wow! Jesus! Hey, you interlopers! You heard him?
Hey,
you're
man.
Pathetic.
It was so pathetic. It was just so sad.
Yeah, because I wasn't sure because they were talking, like they're playing the Panty and Stocking song.
Yeah.
They're flying the anarchist flag. Anarchy's a character in Panting and Stalking. She had the Ryuko like glove. So it's like, is this like, and Panting and Stalking is the next project, I'm 90% sure, right?
Yeah.
And so you're like, oh, is this like they're promoting PSG2? But nope.
The audio would have been better.
Yeah, and the MC too, they really did a good job. And the guy's a new one.
Yeah.
He did a great job of like
keeping things rolling.
Keeping things rolling. And again, it made it almost feel like it was intentional, which is not. They were like, oh, by the way, that was really nice. Can we actually talk? We have a lot of people from Japan. Can we talk to them now or not? Yeah. And then security came in, escorted their asses out.
So yeah, for me, the Delicious in the Dungeon panel trigger in general is something that I always try to go to a trigger panel whenever I can.
Hell yeah.
So that for me, this was also a big highlight. And while I have not finished the series yet. I just like Kusuriya and Freiren, like I walked away from this panel with a bigger appreciation for the series. Yeah. Especially when they started going into like the art and the
storyboards.
The storyboarding.
The storyboards were
all of that. And
fantastic.
How they picked the coloring and the lighting and everything. It was so interesting to like pick their mind and see the creative process.
Yeah. Especially for you, right?
Yeah.
For you, I think you're like into that sort of character design world, right? Again, you want to see, because we are creative people, even though we make shitty YouTube videos, right? We love to see creative processes, and especially for you, who's someone that's in the like animation field or character design field, where you're like, I'm sure it's super interesting to see people that are like, that's their job. Like see their process, right? It's inspiring. Like for me, that the reason why we're sitting here talking about this is my creative juices really got flowing because you get to hear all these like awesome creative people talk about their process, and I think that's so interesting.
Yeah.
So after Dungeon, we managed to make it to Bocchi. They're in the same building, the Marriott.
Yeah.
And so I really wanted to see Saito Keiichiro talk.
Yeah, you're a big fan of him.
I'm a big fan of him. Insert our video. You should go watch it. And we get in. We get in barely. Yeah, like we legit get in barely.
We even left early for the dungeon.
We dipped out of dungeon after we lost rock, paper, scissors. We dipped out of there early. We get to Bocchi. Luckily, we get there. You see all the latecomers are all from the dungeon panel, hilariously. And then there's like a white lady that's doing her stand-up routine.
Hey,
you want to talk about that?
No, she was fun. She was like the.
She's like, oh, this action figure has multiple faces, just like the woman in Orange County.
Yeah.
I was like, the fuck? How many drinks? How many drinks do you think she had?
That's just how she is.
That's just quirky.
How she is. She's just the quirky.
She's the quirky Lameme.
Yeah.
Nice.
She works in HR, you know.
She definitely does not. She's definitely in sales.
Yeah.
I mean, I think honestly they probably just hired people that have like MC experience because she was good at that.
Yeah.
So she just went. She handed out a bunch of like anime IP garbage, you know, figures, plushies, all that sort of things, and then they got the Bocchi team.
Yeah.
Which was the voice actress for Bocchi was there.
I was happy to see her.
Yeah. She has like an energy to her that I had no fucking clue.
Oh yeah, I've seen interviews with her. Yeah, she's real
holy
fun.
Moly. Her English was pretty decent too.
Yeah.
And then Saito Keiichiro is. It's funny because the voice actress of Bocchi is nothing like Bocchi. She was definitely way more like Kita or Nijika. But Saito Keiichiro, that motherfucker Bocchi.
He's Bocchi.
Yeah. He's like, I want to hide in the mango box.
Yeah.
You know? But it was a great panel.
Yeah.
They were even more energetic than the Dungeon people. And Trigger, I feel like, has the most raucous panels. Generally.
Yeah, I know. Which really shows you how much the series resonated with people. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a girl who's like, Bocchi's just like me for real.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's super interesting because I felt like Bocchi, they're like, how many of you related to Bocchi? And like 70% of the room, 80% of the room raised their hand. I was like, yeah, That's crazy.
And you know that they're lying because the real Bocchis would not have raised their hand.
The real Bocchi wouldn't even be in that
Exactly.
The real Bocchi wouldn't have left her house. But yeah, it was super awesome to see Saito, director Saito, talk a lot more. Again, I'm super interested in his process because he's like kind of the new guy, you know.
Yeah.
I'm super excited for his next work. Which
Yeah, same here. Same.
He's kind of stuck in IP hell now that he has to do Freiren and Bocchi for now.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a fun time.
Yeah.
I had a lot of fun.
Yeah. And then
Want to go to the next day?
Yeah.
Saturday.
So for day 2, for me, I just did the FGO panel, which I had.
Which you talked out of order, motherfucker.
It's fine. It's fine. And then for me, the highlight of that.
You want to talk about your autographs?
Yeah. That's what I was about to say. That for me, the highlight of that day was being able to meet the English voice actress for Rappy from Nikke, Kayli Mills, and that was really awesome. So got to meet Kayli Mills. Was super fun and super nice. That was a big highlight. And then pretty much that was like half of my day was just waiting the damn line.
Yeah,
for that.
so she could call you Commander Kevin.
Yeah, I know. Which I wanted. I told you I wanted to do the Watamote thing. It's like, oh, can you say this? Into the phone?
愛してるよ智子
嘘よ。だったら証拠を見せて。
なんてね嘘だよ
Kevin, you just referenced a show that 90% of the people watching probably don't even know what it is.
You know, that show is like Bocchi. If you emphasize with Bocchi, you might really emphasize with Watamote. Yeah. But yeah, and then afterwards we met up, and then we pretty much just kind of like
you partook in capitalism
Yeah.
by looking at anime figures.
Yeah, I bought some anime. I was like, I gotta get something. I haven't bought anything. I have to stimulate the economy somehow.
Yeah.
And so I was able to get 2 figures. Yeah. And then we were like, well, our next thing is look back. You know,
Yeah.
maybe we should just line up for the previous panel. And
Yeah,
just wait
exactly.
there. And the previous panel was for a manga industry app thing.
Yeah.
And we're like, yeah,
We got there at 3. Their panel, the manga industry panel. You know what? Give them the free promo. Throw it up. Throw it up. Even though no one will watch this video. Throw up the thing.
What were they called?
They're like Aisatsu or some shit. I don't know.
I had never heard of them prior to this thing, but we were saying it was the greatest advertisement they could ever
their
have
thing was
gotten.
full. So they started at 3:45. We lined up at 3 and barely squeaked in.
Yeah,
Barely
and we were
squeaked in.
like kind of talking to or like overhearing people and like kind of making a couple of comments with people in the line with us, and it was like, hey, are you guys here for the look back thing? And it was like, oh yeah,
Most of them.
And so I was very
We're
curious.
taking bets on how many people will leave.
Yeah, and even the guys in charge of the panel were like, hey guys, thank you for being here.
Is something's happening? After
Something's happening. That's cool.
We'll chill.
Yeah.
Let us show you our product.
Yeah. And at the end it was like only 5 people left. And then they were saying like the people that lined up for the look back like an hour before it started, well, we were in the middle of the panel.
Yeah.
They were saying like none of those were getting in. Like they said there was 300 people in that standby line.
Higher.
Yeah,
400.
over 300 people.
Yeah.
And only like 5 got in.
Yeah.
It was insane.
But we're gonna talk about that in something else. So we will skip to the next one, right?
yeah.
Yeah. So we went to look back, and we wanted to go to Don.
But that one was also filled 2 hours.
It filled up.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had no shot.
Yeah.
Sadly, and then that was our air.
That was pretty much right. Yeah. So overall, I had a really fun time.
Yep.
It was one of the better AX experiences I've ever had, despite the Sayaka Ohara kicking the balls.
Thank God they fucking mail you the badge.
Yeah,
That's
we don't.
the biggest thing.
Okay, yeah. Day 0, like if this is your first AX, like be happy you didn't have to
pour one out from you. I won't
Yeah.
pour one from this beer because we're sitting where carpet is, so I
Yeah.
can't do that. But
that.
pour one out.
Yeah, day 0.
Kevin will animate this one.
Yeah.
That's what we feel about Day 0.
Yeah. So yeah, overall, I had a really good time, and I hope they at least keep the organization to this level and make it a little bit more clearer for the autographs on how they work.
No one cares about autographs. We're the one who cares.
No, me and the 5 other 100 people that were there
All the
at 3 in the
fucking
morning.
crazies.
Yeah.
I wanted to sleep. This guy was like, "I'm dragging your
I'm
ass
dragging
out of your
your
bed. You think you can
You
sleep,
need-
asshole?"
You need the exercise. You need to come out and sweat in the 90-degree
heat.
heat.
To pull me out of my dungeon.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
So
it.
I think
Yeah,
that's it.
and
Next year. We
next
got
year.
this.
It's
We
too
got
expensive, bro. I have no money. I'm poor.
Next year. You guys can
Kevin,
buy
hey,
him a
we
ticket.
can. You can buy it for us.
Yeah. You can buy him a ticket.